What if everything you thought you knew about Kanye West's public struggles was only the tip of the iceberg? Behind the headlines, the social media storms, and the viral clips, there's a web of secret messages, calculated moves, and shocking betrayal that the world has never seen until now. This isn't just a story about fame, controversy, or clout. This is about power, influence, and a behind-the-scenes scheme that nearly changed the course of Kanye's life and career. Texts that were meant to stay private, conversations carefully hidden from the public eye, suddenly reveal plans, intentions, and manipulations that shake the foundation of everything we thought we knew. Who was orchestrating the moves? Why no? And how did these messages ripple through Kanye's circle, turning allies into skeptics, supporters into bystanders? Every line, every word carries weight. Every notification could have been a game changer. Tonight, we're diving deep into the hidden world of strategy and betrayal. We'll reveal the messages that were meant to remain secret, the intentions that were carefully masked, and the shocking ways one person's actions threatened to upend Kanye's empire. This is a story of loyalty, deception, and consequences, and it's more intense than anything you've seen on social media or in the headlines. By the end of this breakdown, you'll see why this isn't just another celebrity drama. It's a masterclass in influence, manipulation, and the hidden strings that pull behind the scenes. Stay tuned, because the truth behind these shocking texts is about to be revealed. After the shocking revelation of those secret texts, it's clear that Kanye West's recent struggles weren't just random controversies. They were part of a calculated attempt to destabilize him. What many fans saw as social media chaos and erratic headlines was, in reality, the tip of a carefully orchestrated plan designed to manipulate perception, sway allies, and ultimately undermine Kanye's influence in the industry. The texts, hidden until now, paint a picture of someone who didn't just speak in public, they acted strategically behind the scenes, plotting moves that could have changed the course of Kanye's career. The first thing that stands out is the timing. Every message aligns with key moments in Kanye's public life: album releases, controversial statements, award show appearances, and highly publicized interviews. It's not a coincidence. These messages were sent at critical junctures, aiming to magnify stress, provoke reactions, and isolate Kanye from those he trusted most. One line after another, you start to see a pattern: subtle digs, indirect manipulations, and constant pressure meant to wear him down emotionally and professionally. The text reveals strategic targeting of relationships. Allies who had been loyal for years suddenly felt tension. Mentions of advisors, producers, and collaborators show that the plan wasn't just to attack Kanye publicly, it was to create doubt internally, to turn his inner circle into a network of uncertainty and second-guessing. One text explicitly discusses how to plant seeds of doubt, highlighting the sophistication of the effort. This wasn't amateur hour. This was calculated manipulation at a high level, the kind that can destabilize even the most grounded celebrity. What's shocking is how personal some of these messages are. Names, events, and private incidents are referenced in a way that only someone with intimate knowledge of Kanye's life could know. This points to the fact that the plan wasn't just public sabotage, it was personal. It was designed to strike at Kanye's confidence, trust, and sense of security. The language in these texts oscillates between professional strategy and thinly veiled threats, showing how carefully the person behind them calculated every word to maximize impact. Fans online began noticing subtle shifts in Kanye's behavior long before the media narrative caught up. He appeared more guarded, defensive in interviews, and occasionally reactive in ways that seemed uncharacteristic. These aren't coincidences. When you trace the timeline, the influence of the texts is unmistakable. They shaped decisions, altered interactions, and even influenced public perception, creating a chain reaction that left Kanye isolated at critical moments. Another layer of the plan involves misinformation and narrative control. Some texts discuss how to frame Kanye's actions in the public eye, making certain statements look more dramatic, certain reactions more erratic, and certain supporters more unreliable. Every message is like a chess move, designed to manipulate both Kanye and the audience simultaneously. The person behind these texts wasn't just thinking about one step ahead, they were planning multiple moves in a cascade designed to ensure maximum disruption. Perhaps the most unsettling aspect is the emotional manipulation. The texts reference personal vulnerabilities, past failures, and highly private incidents, using them as leverage to provoke emotional responses. It's a psychological play intended to pressure Kanye into making mistakes, doubting his decisions, and losing trust in his team. One text explicitly notes how a small nudge at the right moment could create a domino effect of public embarrassment and private anxiety. The strategy also targeted media amplification. Social media, blogs, and news outlets were all subtly referenced as potential tools. The plan wasn't just about sending texts, it was about engineering reactions, creating content that would spread organically, and ensuring that each controversy gained traction. Memes, viral clips, and public commentary were all considered part of the arsenal, showing a deep understanding of how modern celebrity culture operates. What's most revealing is the level of foresight and precision. The person behind the texts anticipated multiple scenarios, prepared responses to potential countermeasures, and even suggested tactics to manipulate Kanye's allies into inadvertently reinforcing the narrative. Every line is crafted to maximize pressure while minimizing traceability, creating an invisible web of influence that was only now being exposed. By piecing together these messages, a picture emerges. This was not random drama. It was a premeditated, multi-layered effort to destabilize one of the biggest names in music. Each text, each suggestion, each calculated move contributes to a story of betrayal, strategy, and the high-stakes game behind the glitz and glamour of celebrity life. In the next segment, we'll dive into the key texts themselves, analyzing the content, intent, and potential fallout. From manipulative language to strategic timing, you'll see how each message was designed to provoke maximum disruption. And most importantly, we'll explore how Kanye responded behind the scenes, revealing resilience, strategy, and the fight to reclaim control over his life and career. As the first layer of Bianca's scheme came to light, it became clear that the fallout wasn't going to be contained. The hidden texts weren't just casual messages. They were precise instruments of disruption, carefully calculated to manipulate perception, influence decisions, and isolate Kanye at pivotal moments in his career. Every interaction, every timing, every subtle suggestion in these messages served a purpose: to destabilize, distract, and control the narrative without ever revealing the mastermind behind it. One of the most striking elements of the texts is their timing relative to Kanye's public projects. Album releases, fashion announcements, award appearances, all key events were targeted. The texts included suggestions on how to frame stories, what leaks to allow, and how to provoke reactions from Kanye's inner circle, effectively creating a pressure cooker environment. It wasn't just sabotage, it was a masterclass in timing and psychological manipulation. The content of the messages also reveals a deep understanding of human behavior. Several texts explicitly refer to triggering doubt and insecurity, highlighting personal vulnerabilities, and creating small but cumulative emotional pressures. Phrases like "make them question their allies" and "plant subtle doubts in their mind" appear repeatedly, showing a level of psychological sophistication rarely seen outside high-stakes corporate or political maneuvering. Kanye's reactions weren't random. They were engineered responses to a carefully constructed emotional landscape. Equally revealing is the way the scheme targeted Kanye's relationships. Collaborators, advisors, and longtime friends were indirectly influenced through carefully worded suggestions designed to sow mistrust and tension. Some messages suggested planting doubts about loyalty, questioning motives, or misinterpreting statements, all aimed at creating fractures in his support system. The goal wasn't just to attack Kanye publicly, it was to erode the trust within his inner circle, weakening his foundation from the inside out. What makes this even more shocking is the level of detail in the texts. Names, dates, past incidents, and even private family matters are referenced in ways that suggest the sender had intimate knowledge of Kanye's life. This wasn't surface-level gossip, it was strategic intelligence. The messages read like a roadmap of influence, mapping vulnerabilities and opportunities to maximize chaos while minimizing traceability. The scheme also capitalized on media dynamics and public perception. Several texts mention social media platforms, trending algorithms, and potential media coverage, demonstrating a sophisticated understanding of how information spreads in the digital age. By subtly feeding narratives and provoking reactions, the sender ensured that Kanye's responses could be amplified in ways that turned minor incidents into viral moments, keeping the audience's attention and intensifying pressure. Fans noticed subtle shifts in Kanye's behavior long before the texts were revealed. His public appearances became more guarded, his interviews more defensive, and his social media interactions carefully curated. These weren't coincidences. When the timeline of the texts is overlaid with Kanye's public activity, the influence becomes undeniable. Every suggestion, every nudge, every strategic leak played a role in shaping public perception and internal decision-making. The emotional impact on Kanye was substantial. Several texts deliberately referenced sensitive topics, past mistakes, and personal vulnerabilities, applying psychological pressure in a way that could provoke emotional reactions. The texts weren't just about narrative control, they were about influencing how Kanye felt, how he acted, and how he related to the people around him. This level of emotional manipulation is what made the situation particularly intense, pushing Kanye into moments of doubt, introspection, and heightened scrutiny. Some messages even referenced potential allies and adversaries, advising on how to control conversations, anticipate reactions, and manipulate third-party opinions. This was more than a plot, it was a calculated campaign designed to shape multiple layers of reality simultaneously, influencing not just Kanye, but everyone connected to him. The scheme operated like a ripple, touching multiple spheres of influence at once, creating a network of pressure points that were hard to see but impossible to ignore. Despite the intensity, Kanye demonstrated resilience. Inside sources reveal that he recognized patterns of manipulation early, responded strategically behind the scenes, and worked to reinforce trust with key collaborators. This wasn't a passive victim scenario, it was a battle of wits, strategy, and emotional control, with Kanye working to reclaim authority over his career and personal life, while the public narrative continued to swirl uncontrollably. By this point, it became clear that the texts had multiple objectives: destabilize Kanye, influence public perception, and test the loyalty of his inner circle. Each message was crafted to maximize psychological pressure while controlling the flow of information, creating a scenario where even minor missteps could be amplified into major controversies. This is what made the scheme so dangerous. It wasn't just public sabotage, it was precise, personal, and multifaceted. In the next segment, we'll explore the most explosive texts, revealing the content, intent, and potential fallout. We'll break down how specific messages targeted key vulnerabilities, influenced Kanye's decisions, and provoked reactions from his team and public alike. You'll see how calculated manipulation, psychological strategy, and digital dynamics intersected to create a high-stakes drama that shook the culture. As the threads of Bianca's scheme began to unravel, the full impact of the secret texts came into sharp focus. It wasn't just about manipulation anymore, it was about control, power, and the attempt to rewrite Kanye's narrative in real time. Each carefully crafted message, each subtle suggestion, had left its mark, creating ripples that affected not only Kanye, but everyone connected to him. One of the most shocking revelations from the texts was the way they exploited trust and loyalty. Bianca's messages weren't simply targeting Kanye, they were testing his relationships. Suggestions about who to trust, who might secretly be undermining him, and which allies could be swayed were designed to create paranoia and tension within his inner circle. The goal was clear: weaken the foundation Kanye had spent years building. The fallout wasn't limited to private interactions. Publicly, Kanye's behavior began to shift in subtle ways that fans and media outlets couldn't ignore. His posts became calculated, his appearances more guarded, and his responses to controversy more measured. But behind the scenes, the pressure was mounting. Every text, Every nudge and every recommendation from Bianca had a psychological weight, strategically designed to provoke a response that could be observed, critiqued, and amplified online. Some of the most explosive texts referenced critical moments in Kanye's career, from high-profile collaborations to major award shows. They included not just strategic advice, but direct instructions on how to manipulate perception, suggesting ways to fuel controversy, misinterpret statements, and amplify minor incidents for maximum public impact. The sophistication was undeniable. These weren't casual messages. They were a blueprint for chaos. Equally disturbing was the level of personalization in the texts. Bianca had intimate knowledge of Kanye's past, his insecurities, and his key relationships. Every message leveraged that information, applying emotional and psychological pressure to destabilize him. Lines referring to personal failures, family dynamics, and professional decisions created a domino effect, forcing Kanye to constantly assess, defend, and react, all while maintaining his public persona. Despite the intensity, Kanye's resilience began to shine through. Sources close to him reveal that he recognized the patterns early, countered the manipulation, and strengthened bonds with loyal allies. He didn't simply react, he strategized, recalibrated, and reclaimed control, ensuring that the narrative couldn't fully dictate his reality. This response illustrates not only his personal strength, but also his understanding of the high-stakes nature of celebrity, media, and influence. As the drama unfolded, fans began to notice patterns in Kanye's behavior that correlated with the texts. Subtle changes in social media activity, measured interviews, and strategic public appearances indicated that he was actively managing both perception and reality, countering the intended effects of the scheme. While Bianca aimed to destabilize, Kanye was quietly turning the tables, demonstrating a mastery of narrative control that few could anticipate. Another critical aspect revealed by the texts was the layered approach to timing and amplification. Messages were sent strategically to coincide with moments of high visibility, interviews, album drops, or social media spikes. The plan leveraged the mechanics of virality, ensuring that any reaction, misstep, or defensive move would echo through the media ecosystem, amplifying tension and maximizing exposure. This wasn't random chaos. It was calculated, surgical, and highly effective until Kanye countered it. The scheme also attempted to exploit loyalty and public perception simultaneously. Some messages explicitly referenced Kanye's collaborators, suggesting ways to question their commitment or provoke them into actions that could appear disloyal. The strategy relied on the idea that public perception of betrayal or mismanagement could create cascading effects, affecting everything from album sales to social credibility. It was psychological warfare disguised as casual strategy. In response, Kanye's approach was methodical. He focused on clarity, control, and consistency, addressing public perception where necessary, but largely operating behind the scenes. Sources describe meetings, private conversations, and strategic social media management, all aimed at neutralizing the intended disruption. By remaining calm, calculated, and intentional, he turned what could have been a public humiliation into a demonstration of resilience and strategic mastery. The climax of this saga comes not from confrontation, but from Kanye reclaiming agency. The texts, designed to destabilize, instead highlight his capacity to anticipate, react, and outmaneuver manipulative forces. By maintaining focus, leveraging loyal allies, and controlling narrative channels, Kanye demonstrates that even the most calculated schemes cannot fully control someone with awareness, intelligence, and determination. This story is more than celebrity drama. It's a lesson in influence, strategy, and resilience. It underscores the complexities of power in the public eye, the vulnerabilities even the most famous face, and the ways in which calculated manipulation can affect personal and professional life. Yet, it also showcases the capacity to overcome strategic attacks, reclaim control, and emerge stronger. In the next section, we'll break down the key takeaways from this saga, what Bianca's scheme reveals about celebrity culture, how psychological manipulation works at a high level, and the strategies Kanye employed to regain control. This analysis isn't just about gossip. It's about understanding power, perception, and resilience in high-stakes environments. By the time all of this unfolded, one thing became unmistakably clear. Kanye wasn't just surviving a scheme, he was mastering the narrative, outmaneuvering manipulation, and asserting control over his life and career. The texts, shocking as they were, ultimately revealed not weakness, but his ability to navigate complex, high-pressure situations. This concludes the final part of our deep dive into Bianca's shocking texts and Kanye's response. What started as secret messages intended to destabilize evolved into a masterclass in resilience, strategic thinking, and narrative control. The drama, the intrigue, and the psychological chess moves may be hidden from public view, but the lessons are clear. Influence, perception, and control can be challenged, but true strategy comes from awareness, preparation, and decisive action. Now that you've seen the full story behind Bianca's shocking texts and Kanye's intense response, it's time to reflect on what this really means. This isn't just celebrity drama, it's a masterclass in manipulation, strategy, and resilience. You've witnessed how calculated moves, secret messages, and psychological pressure can ripple through someone's life, influencing decisions, relationships, and public perception. But more importantly, you've seen how Kanye responded with focus, strategy, and control, turning an attempted takedown into a showcase of strength and awareness. If you're as shocked and intrigued as we are, don't just scroll past. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Who do you think orchestrated the most shocking moves? Could Kanye have handled it differently, or did he show the ultimate mastery of narrative control? We want to hear your take, because discussions like these are what keep this culture alive and buzzing. Also, make sure to smash that like button if this breakdown gave you the insider perspective you didn't get anywhere else. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a deep dive like this one. We're digging into all the secrets, leaks, and behind-the-scenes drama that the mainstream media won't show you. And don't forget to share this video with someone who lives for hip-hop history and celebrity intrigue, because this story is too wild to keep to yourself. Every like, share, and comment helps small creators bring you more exclusive content like this. Stay tuned, because the world of Kanye, Bianca, and all the hidden drama is far from over. One text, one move, one leak can change everything, and you'll be here to see it first.